Hello, today I want to go into my super duper tricks for financial management. Financial management might seem a little bit off topic for a blog that is mostly about productivity, but I have to say that good financial management has me helped, has helped me stay sane and positive and actually helps me be productive. I have a little bit of a story, especially right now during these COVID times. When COVID first hit in Australia in the month of March, I think like many people who own businesses, I was facing many cancellations. The future was really uncertain. And to be honest, I was really panicked. But what I then did was sit down with my finances and have a hard look at how long I could survive if my business made absolutely no money. And I know a lot of people might have been in the same situation, either losing their jobs or having reduced hours or due to their business revenue declining. And through this exercise, what I discovered was that actually I could not make any money in my business for 6 months and I would still be okay. So I actually had cash reserves of about 6 months of life, and I've just bought a house. So that kind of says how much of a cushion I had. Today, I want to go a little bit into exactly how I achieved this because I think that this was a great result and it really shows that all the financial management tools that I've implemented over the last 3 years have really worked for me, especially when times were tough. The first thing I want to get into in terms of financial management, especially if you have a business, is the idea of allocating your money into different bins. That's also an idea that's been discussed in the Barefoot Investor for personal finance. So whether you have a business or you don't, this idea of putting money into different bins can be really relevant. So what I use for my business is the Profit First system by Mike Michalowicz. It's a book you can get, on Amazon or Kobo, and you can also get help from specialist Profit First practitioners. So just check out, the Profit First website, and you'll get lots of resources. The idea behind Profit First is actually deceptively simple. If you get any business revenue, what you do is then separate it into different bins. And I will tell you right now what my bins are. I've got profit, taxes, personal pay, super, and operating expenses. Last year, I also had a giving category because every quarter I wanted to make donations to charities. But this year I've decided that I will just do that on an ad hoc basis. When the need arises, I just have the money for that. Basically what you do, every fortnight or every month when you do get your revenue is that you split it into these bins. So for me, my allocations, I've got 5% to profit, 20% to taxes, 50% to personal pay, 5% to super, and I might raise it quite soon, and then 20% to operating expenses. Basically, what this allows you to do is to set some boundaries and some expectations around your spending. So what a lot of people do, especially when they start a business, is that they refuel everything into the business. Basically, almost everything goes into operating expenses, and then you have nothing to pay yourself with. You don't have any profit or cash reserves, and then you also don't have anything to pay taxes with, which can be a huge source of worry. So, like any financial management system, this really helps set you up for success. And I've been using it, for about a year and a half before this whole COVID thing hit. So I can tell you how that worked for me. So even when my business revenue was really small, when my business was part-time, I would religiously do these allocations. Every month, half of it goes into my little pocket, and then I can do whatever I want with it because taxes have been taken care of. 20% goes into a tax account that's actually at a different bank. So I really know this is not my money, this is the government's money. And for you, you have to calculate what your tax allocation should be depending on your country or your income, your taxation rate. So you can just calculate that and then do your projected revenue. And then for me, 20% is a reasonable amount to save aside. I want to talk more about profit, because a lot of businesses are actually not profitable. It's actually really exceptional to have a business that's profitable in the first year. For me, I allocate 5% to a profit account. Again, that is at a different bank. And following the Profit First methodology, at the end of each quarter, I will split that amount in two. one half will go to me as a bonus and one half will get to cash reserves. And the idea is that you would build that profit account to the stage where you have 3 months of cash reserves. And this is very important during COVID times because, businesses that have lower running expenses and have higher cash reserves will do better. So for me, it's a freelance business. It's quite easy to have relatively low operating expenses. It's not like I'm a huge corporation, but really having that money behind me really helped me. So here, to go more in depth into what happened, basically because I had that profit account, and then I decided not to take my bonus for that quarter and just to refuel it in the business, I basically had 3 months of business operating expenses. And then when I looked at my personal finances, because I use the barefoot investment method, which similarly says you should have, 3 months of living expenses. So that's mortgage or rent, bills, everything you need to have. But for me, I actually had more than that. So my business could survive for 6 months, which was a huge relief because at that stage, I didn't know if any money was coming in. I didn't know if I would get any business help. And it did turn out I got JobKeeper, which was good. And I actually got a lot of new business coming in. And so it is very surprising using this method and also having been able to relax and not being stressed out of my mind because of finances, because I knew things were fine. I managed to leverage these opportunities quite well, by seeking new businesses. And I've actually managed, in this time to grab the opportunities and make some really cool investments. So the first thing is that I bought a house. And obviously being COVID time, I got the house for a better price. So, this system has enabled me when it was quite a tough and critical time to actually raise to the challenge and actually do something good. The other thing that I've managed to do is go back to studying and pay for my course outright. And so when I think of myself, it's like I've actually managed to make some really good investments in myself and my future during this tough time. Going back to the profit first system and the different bins, so we got profit, taxes, personal pay, for me, super and operating expenses. I want to spend a bit more time on operating expenses. So for me, I've limited them at 20%, which is very reasonable for a freelance business. If you operate a bigger business or an in-person brick and mortar business, that might be 50%, 80%. You have to work out your allocation for yourself. But for me, because I put that 20% of my revenue into a separate account, which then becomes my operating expenses account, I basically got a finite amount of money to work with. And that means that I don't overspend on courses, on, any business related activities. Because really, if I have my projection for the year or the month, and I do 20% of that, really that's what I can spend, in terms of office rent, office supplies, all of that. And so for me, that really helps me keep, in check. And you'll see that kind of like setting of boundaries is common to a lot of productivity systems. So later I might talk a little bit about time management in a different video. And it's the same thing. If you set boundaries around yourself, this is the time I will allocate to this is the amount of money that I will allocate to this, then you can really see some great results. I think that I will leave it at this today in terms of the financial management and the profit first system. I really encourage you to look it up. Even if you're an academic or you're an employee, you can check out Profit First and the Barefoot Investor and really get to grips with how to manage your finances, because down the road that provides so much peace of mind. And if you want to learn more about my money journey, I'm really passionate about financial management. And actually I was interviewed on Emily Roberts' podcast, which is Personal Finance for PhDs. And there you can learn more about how I use this profit first system and also a different system that's called Good, Better, Best Goals, and how I manage my money.